Hi, my name is Becky Lyon. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I'm able to be here tonight because on January 29th of 2011, I escaped an abusive, violent marriage and husband. For almost 6 years, I lived a life of manipulation, isolation, shame, guilt, I thought love, and yes, regular beatings. As I was preparing to sell my home of almost 10 years, I was approached by my neighbor, Scotty, who kindly offered to help me pack and move. I accepted his offer and enjoyed the company and the help, as I was very sad to be moving and feeling very, very vulnerable. Little did I know he would become my husband. Scotty smoothly took over my life. He wined and dined me. He lavished me with so much attention, I had no time for friends or family. As I became more isolated from my friends and family, he began to verbally and emotionally abuse me. I was so taken by all of his attention that I failed to realize a pattern was beginning to form. Then one night, while we were discussing goals for our future, I disagreed with something that he said. We argued for a few minutes, then he shoved me, knocking me against the wall, eventually to the ground. He proceeded to pour his Gatorade on my head and spit on me. He walked out of the room, leaving me alone and stunned. I knew it wasn't right, but who would I tell? And what would I say? My silence began. The suffering in silence, the lies to my coworkers, explaining away my injuries, the lies to my son when he would question a bruise or question my tears. I continued to lie to myself as well and make excuses for his behavior. It was during this time we married and together began raising his twin daughters and my son. As the months turned into years, I suffered horribly violent treatment from my husband. He would kick every part of my body. He would pull my hair so hard or punch my head that it was often so painful and difficult to even brush my hair. He would throw me down our stairs only to drag me back up by my hair just to throw me down them again. He stomped my foot so hard it broke several of my toes and the top of my foot. The beatings began about once a month, and by the time I left were just about daily. On Mother's Day of 2010, Scotty nearly smothered me to death. He stuffed my mouth with his socks and covered my face with a pillow. He put me face down on the bed, and his 230-pound, 6'2" self kneeled on my back on top of me until I felt myself losing consciousness. It was there that night alone with him. No one could hear my screams. No one would find me. No one that loved me was with me while I was dying. Only this monster would spend my last moments with me. To know someone is taking your life is indescribable. I can't even explain what it was like. I wanted to fight to save myself. I was needed. I had babies that needed their mama. It didn't seem real except I needed to get up. I needed air. I tried to will my feet to kick, but they stopped kicking. I felt myself disappearing. The weightlessness. No more pain. No more fear. No more tears. I was dying by my husband's hands, and there was nothing I could do. I was dying. I lost consciousness that night. I have no idea how long. I did eventually come to, and when I did, something had split inside of me. I knew I had to figure out how to leave or I would die. As I walked out of the bank where I worked, I silently cried out that I couldn't do it anymore, and I vowed I would never lie about this again. It had to end. I begged God to help me, and He did. My prayer was answered. I was prompted to text a friend I hadn't seen in over 3 years. I asked her to come to my work the following Tuesday for lunch because I needed to talk. At the same exact time that I had sent that message to her, she was sending me a private Facebook message inviting me to lunch that following Tuesday, the same Tuesday I'd asked her to come. The following Tuesday came, and my friend came to the bank with lunch. I went out to her car, I hugged her, I turned away from her in shame, and I began to pour out my story. When I finally looked at her, she was crying. Somehow that validated me. She believed me. She told me her home was my home and that we were going to get me out. I began to feel empowered. I had finally come to the end of myself. I didn't care if I had to live naked under a bridge or die trying to leave. I just knew I was leaving and began to prepare. That Saturday, the man that never left me alone left me at the house alone. I immediately called my kids and my friend. They were on standby that weekend. We would have 1 hour to move me. Within minutes of my call, 5 or 6 trucks, SUVs, and vans showed up, and we packed and loaded as much stuff as we could. Finally, after almost an hour, I told them all to leave and that I would meet them all outside. But before I left the house, I placed a letter to Scotty on the pillow he smothered me with. I then walked out the front door and out of that life for the very last time. And I looked up into that beautiful blue sky and I shouted, "Thank you, Lord." Every day I continue to heal. Now, after nearly 2 years of counseling, I have forgiven myself and rekindled my relationship with my children, my family, and my friends. I don't live by the wounds anymore, but they're always going to be inside. Sharing my story is healing for me. My silence is over. My kids now have a mother that they can respect and be proud of, but mostly they have a mother that is truly living. I rose from the ashes, and I'm alive, and I am free.